Could I just do an awkward intro and we can kind of jump into it?
You can do an awkward intro, or you can do a not awkward intro. Either
Well,
way.
I mean, I've tried to do a not awkward intro before, but it never really works out my way. So.
I think it's very interesting that you start off by saying that mine's actually planned out, because I feel like most times I have no idea what I'm doing until I actually do it. So I appreciate that it comes across that way, but I think I'm just, I'm figuring it out as I go just as much as you're figuring it out as you go.
Cool. Well, yeah. So this is kind of a discussion. So, I mean, once you answer, I'll answer. But what made you want to start a YouTube channel?
So before the Showstopper started, I was actually a project manager for an audiovisual company. And I got laid off on March 12th. So like right as things were, kind of happening, I got laid off of work. And, I'd always kind of thought about starting a YouTube channel, but I never really had done anything about it. So I had some accounts and I had, some things, but I hadn't really done anything with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not really good at sitting around doing nothing. So when I was suddenly found myself out of work, it was like I had to find something that would keep me engaged.
Yeah.
And I had recently, back in Christmas of 2019, gotten back into model railroading, and it just sort of all came together and just sort of really worked out. I started really enjoying hanging out with the people on the live streams, and just sort of, just sort of jumped in with 2 feet and said, let's try and figure it out. And if you go back and watch some of my earlier videos, they're definitely not quite as polished, but still, because of my background, I brought a lot of that into what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I was able to, I think, start out in a place where people would be interested in watching what I was putting out there.
That's the way to do it. Yeah. I started.
Go ahead.
No.
I could talk forever. No, I mean, a lot of it in the beginning too, when I started, is I had no idea like what to put out there and what worked.
Mm-hmm.
So, it just sort of, I'm basically just trying things, throw a bunch of things at the wall and see what sticks. And, now that I think as of today, I have like 584 subscribers, which is, to me, it's really unbelievable that I've gotten that many subscribers this quickly.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of just seeing what works and then kind of following up on that.
Yeah.
And being out of work, this is kind of my job right now, and I'm taking it seriously from that point of view, and trying to see like what can I make of it, learning the different technology and all that sort of stuff.
Absolutely. And you just got sponsored too, so that should help a bit.
I did. The sponsorship thing was interesting. I was thinking a lot about sponsorship. I was thinking a lot about vendors that I really enjoyed working with that weren't like the big, huge vendors that everybody knows. And I was trying to figure out like what could I offer them as a smaller channel, but then also be in a position where we can both kind of grow together. My current sponsor is CMR Products, and one of the things I love about them, in one of my conversations, they were joking around saying that they were one of the best kept secrets on the internet. What they are able to do in-house is so much more extensive than I actually realized they can do just by looking at their website. So I think it's a good relationship to, both help each other out.
So did you reach out to them or did they find you?
I reached out to them. My T-Track modules, I'm a little background. I live in New York City in a 1-bedroom apartment. My entire layout, workshop, and everything's space is basically the 50 inches by 30 inches of my desktop that I'm sitting at right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided because I couldn't have a fixed layout, I would build T-Track modules.
Yeah.
There's kind of two main companies that build T-Track module kits, where basically you can just go out and buy them. If you have a workshop at home, of course, you can make your own. It's, they're not very hard, but, I don't have a table saw. I don't have, really the ability to cut straight lines. So I bought the kits from CMR Products, and, they were very quick. They're very easy to deal with. When I bought my second module, I wanted a little bit of customization done, and they, made it happen very quickly. They've got a lot of, the line that they sell is called Tab Tech, which is all of their laser cut wood kits.
Yeah.
And I just enjoyed talking to them and getting to know like what their products were. They're a family owned company. Their father started it because basically he started the company to support his hobby.
Okay.
And when he passed away, his sons took over the company and expanded it. And now they've got all these in-house brands.
Wow.
So
yeah.
it's exciting. It's exciting to get to know them, and it's exciting to kind of be able to put out for the viewers that have found me this company that I really enjoy working with. And I think they offer some value that, would be helpful for other people.
Absolutely. I mean, I started a little bit different. So I don't do anything under my name. It's all under my Model Railroad Club's name. And it started where it was going to be layout footage and modular layout footage and railfan videos. And it was all going to be sent in by the members, and I would compile it in iMovie. And that's kind of what it was for a while. And I tried to kind of change it a bit. And just like you're saying, you throw something and it didn't really stick. So I started interviewing people, and that kind of was a significant chunk of my views. So I was like, okay, maybe I'll go up to Final Cut Pro, maybe increase the video quality a bit, and increase my filming quality with a tripod, because freehand image stabilization works wonders, but it's not the magic cure. So I'm kind of just taking it along. 50 subscribers, so we're making it.
Yeah, I think what you're doing too, I mean, you're interviewing some big names in the business, and that's part of what I think is great about that, is that we are a pretty small community at the end of the day, and the majority of the people in our community just want to share with other people. So they love just talking to anybody, and so I think that's it's a really great opportunity. Whereas you may only have 52 subscribers now, it's like the second people find you, you have valuable content to offer.
Yeah.
So I think that's one important tip for growing, is don't necessarily focus on the subscribers from the beginning.
Absolutely.
Just focus on having some
good videos. Yeah.
Yeah. Because if somebody comes to your channel and you don't have good content, they may subscribe, but then they're not going to watch anything. And
that at the end in itself, because then the YouTube mystical algorithm, they don't find your videos. So yeah, exactly.
So I mean, it's smart that where you're at, you're focusing on the content, and you are doing these interviews, and
thank you.
For me too, it's kind of like, you kind of wonder, like, me too. I'm a tiny channel, but you've interviewed Michelle Kempema and John from TSG Multimedia, like bigger people in the industry. And, at some point you may be saying, you might not be, but at some point you might be saying, like, why would these people come on, my channel? And I think it's because
so much, believe me, I do.
And my answer to that, I recognize, is that the questions you're going to ask or the conversation you have is going to be very different than if I get interviewed by somebody that's got a lot more viewers and a much bigger channel. So it gives us an opportunity to have a different type of conversation that then, you know, when you do grow, you know, when you are the next big channel, it's, you know, it's out there for everybody.
I reached out to a couple people for interviews, and there was this one, I don't want to say names because I hate calling people out. That's never a good thing to do. But they kind of deflected the question for an interview, but they were very helpful and they gave me a couple of tips. And one of them, they were saying, what makes your channel different? They were saying, what you're doing is pretty cool. Your editing's great. Everything is nice, but what's different about it? And I'm like, well, that's a good question. So interview people with simple questions.
So so if I asked you that question right now and put you on the spot to come up with an answer, what would you say?
Oh God. I just put out a G-Scale tutorial video a couple days ago. I put out Railfan stuff. I put out these random training videos, and a whole bunch of people do that. And I'm not the best by any means, but I try to make myself different. That's what I like to do, making extra stuff like that. But what I feel like I'm better at is just reaching out people through a contact us page on a website, sitting down, and everybody has the questions that never really get answered on forums and stuff. You see all these people from 2007 who have these burning questions, and nobody ever sees it, nobody ever responds. And I feel like everybody has that same thing in their head, so I try to get it out and go from there.
So what's your perspective? Like when you ask questions, why do you think you have a certain perspective that guides interesting questions during interviews?
Well, I'd never call myself interesting, but I mean, I try to think that I have the questions in my head that most people have that never get answered. Everybody has these questions in their head. They're the ones everybody's like, oh, it would be cool to ask this person this. And it's not unique to anybody. Everybody's like, oh, it would be cool to have the answer. So I'm like, okay. Like just asking like John Abaticoli, he doesn't do interviews very much. So I was like, what's the background about him? Michelle Kempema. I don't think anybody's really sat down and talked to her. Well, John just did too, but
John followed up, but after you.
Yeah, he copied me. So and Lionel Strang, I don't think he's ever been, maybe a few times, but I couldn't easily find any. So it's just nice to know the stories behind people, not about what they're doing, not asking them questions about things they've heard 1,000 times, just talking about them. So
yeah, I mean, it's one of the things that I think is really great about you is that you're not afraid to just ask.
Yeah.
You know, we even joke.
Pages are my worst enemy, but you kind of go from there.
You know, if you don't ask, you know, you know, it's not good. But
yeah,
I just think it's funny. We were talking the other day about how you even tried reaching out to Rod Stewart through, you know, a contact you found through him. So it's like, you know, you just got to go ask.
Yeah, it's like I'm never going to hear back, but you just know that you've done all you can to get an answer. So we'll see where.
Well, and don't say never. You know,
don't say never.
You never know. You never know.
So back to what we were talking about. Wow, we really talked for a while. So when you started your channel, what was its purpose? Like, what was your goal in doing it?
I think the main goal, when I like first started my channel, the main goal was to learn about online digital content sharing.
Okay.
With everything that was happening, not so much in the US, but seeing what was happening overseas as it was kind of coming here, I sort of figured that for a foreseeable time, most large-scale events were all going to be online.
Yeah.
And I thought it was important, if I was going to continue in this industry, was to learn as much as I can in this industry, meaning as a project manager for live events, that it would be important for me to learn about content distribution networks and just how to get decent quality video and audio and sync them up and how to deal with, all the various aspects of putting a content up online, both pre-recorded and live streaming. So my original intent was really just, I don't want to say selfish, but it was, original intent was for personal learning.
Yeah.
It was for my personal growth. And it just so happened it was kind of a lot of fun. And, I hang out on Thursday mornings with a guy from Australia chit-chatting, and I wouldn't be doing that if it wasn't for this situation and this time and this technology.
That's what I feel like a lot of people have started, or at least grown a lot during COVID. Like, I wouldn't be doing this if it weren't for COVID. You wouldn't be doing it if it weren't for COVID. And Zoom, like Zoom's new for COVID. There's a lot of things that wouldn't exist if it weren't for this awful situation we're in, but we're making the best of it. So
and in 1918, when this happened, it's not like when there was a pandemic, people couldn't jump online. So this is a unique position we're in to be able to do this. So it's neat. And so another sort of side of this is, my channel name's Humanity Junction, and I chose that because I knew my subject was going to be railroad. But I've also sort of left it slightly vague, where I'm trying to really build the humanity part of it as the brand, so that I could potentially spin off that brand for other things like humanity production, and I could help people with, videos or, just sort of humanity in general as a concept. So I'm definitely branding it as, the YouTube channel is definitely branded as a model railroad channel, but the behind the scenes of it, I'm trying to brand as kind of a bigger thing.
Okay, that's different. That's answering that guy's question. What makes your stuff different? So that would be cool.
Yeah, and it's for me, and I think a little bit why my channel has grown as much as it has, is that I've really. It's not a business. It's definitely a hobby for me. I definitely want to get back to work, doing large scale productions. Like, that's ultimately the goal. But if I can get this channel up to like 1,000 subs and then be able to pull back a little bit when I go back to work, I can then maintain it as a hobby, in my opinion, a little bit easier, because it'll have a little bit bigger of a base to sit on.
Yeah.
Until I get to that point, I'm really looking at the channel as a business opportunity and sort of figuring out what is it I can do, actually with the channel, with the videos I'm putting out, with the live streams, to help grow it, as well as, I tried to avoid kind of getting into the Facebook thing, but I kind of realized if I don't get onto Facebook, there's a lot of communities there as well.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of finding, how do I want to use Facebook? How do I want to use YouTube, so that I can make, genuine connections with people, put up some really great content, but also can create something that, once I do go back to work, can sustain itself and not sort of dwindle away.
Yeah.
Because I do think there is a lot more online right now due to the current situation.
Absolutely.
And, I want to find a way that this lives on in perpetuity, as they say, which is a word that I love saying, that I think in perpetuity is just such a great word.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So that's a
good game plan.
Yeah. Yeah.
And obviously, like, you want to get back to work. You don't want this to have to be the thing that you depend on for, like, business. But do you think once you get back to work and once everything gets back to normal, are you going to continue this? Because obviously it won't be your full-time job, but do you want to continue this as on the side?
Yeah. So I feel like if you look at all of the model railroad channels out there, I can only really think of two of them that they don't make their money full-time off their YouTube channel, but they're sort of full-time in the, you know, AV model railroading world.
Yeah.
So I feel like being able to rely on it as a job would be extremely difficult, which is why I do feel like I'm going to go back to, you know, quote unquote work at some point. But I do really want to be able to sustain the channel as, you know, a secondary source of income to basically help self-sustain the channel. You know, if I can bring in, you know, $100 a month to be able to buy, you know, some, you know, different, you know, I'm always buying, you know, different types of rail cleaner because, you know, everybody's got a different suggestion on how to clean rails. And I'd like to be able to, you know, try them all out for myself. So like having a little bit of money to be able to self-sustain the channel is really the goal. And when I talk about going to work too, you know, one thing I think about a lot is, and what I sort of mentioned a little bit previously about humanity as a brand, it's like, could I take that brand and make that my job? So like the YouTube channel wouldn't be the main job. It would be one aspect of it. But, you know, could I help other people create their videos? Could I, you know, support other people in doing their things and make money through that? That maybe then that becomes the job that then the YouTube channel kind of helps support that.
Absolutely. Like that would be very cool. I never knew that this was the vision.
I don't know. It changes every day, I think, a little bit. I've been in live events pretty much all my life, even from when I was a little kid. You know, I did a lot of theater stuff.
Me too.
So it's hard for me to visualize. You know, it's hard for me to visualize not being in that world at least somewhat. So it's this. You know, I'm struggling a little bit with this thing of like, what do I do if I do move on?
Yeah.
And especially now that it's almost October and we've been dealing with this since mid-March. It's like, how do I move on? What do I move on to?
Yeah.
Do I just keep holding on? You know, do I try and grow the YouTube channel as a business to actually, like, you know, pay my rent? Or, you know, do I keep just doing it as a hobby and just keep doing it for fun? Like, I don't know. It's this, I know, I'm getting all philosophical now, but
well, that leads into something else I was going to talk about. What was your preparation? Did you already have all of this recording equipment from your job that you had, or was it something that you got for this?
So I did a lot of photography before, but not so much a lot of video stuff.
Okay.
The laptop that I'm actually doing this all on now is actually my work computer from my last job. When they let me go, they let me keep the laptop. So my, you know, streaming and my video editing computer is the computer from my old job.
Yeah.
I also then have another. I have so many laptops. I actually have another laptop then next to that one that I use as my control computer. So it's the one that I would actually hook my layup to. But like what I'm using right now is what I call my face cam, is a Canon Mark D2, which was the first Canon DSLR that could do video. Okay. So it does 1080p 30 video. There's no autofocus. There's, you know, no nothing like that. So, you know, I'm still using that for my video. But certain things like audio, I I bought a Zoom H6. I've got, you see this sometimes in my videos, which is an Audio Technica 2020. We're having this conversation over an Audio Technica 2021. So I'm thinking about it. It almost seems like everything I've bought for the channel has been audio. Because I had this GoPro's my overhead camera. So it's a GoPro 5. It's just an older GoPro. I use my iPhone for a lot of what people call B-roll shots, which was what I had. I have a Sony RX100 Mark IV over there that I sometimes use as like a side shot for some videos. So yeah, I think most of what I bought specifically for videos was audio, and I'm a little bit of a stickler for good audio on videos. But my problem is I don't know how to mix audio for my videos. So I feel like if I knew more about how to like EQ my audio, I could have such better audio because I have decent equipment. But I don't really know audio. I'm definitely more of a video guy.
Well, are you on the Premiere team or the Final Cut team?
Neither. I use DaVinci Resolve.
Okay.
Because it's free.
Oh.
DaVinci Resolve is free they have a free version. You can upgrade to the studio version, but I've used Premiere. I've had Premiere, and I can't think of anything that I can't do in Resolve, that I was doing in Premiere. And I'm not really, I'm not color grading my videos, which is actually one of the things that Resolve is great at. I'm not doing a lot of animations. I'm not doing anything really sort of high tech. I'm not recording in 4K 60. I'm not doing any of these things that really require a lot of that. I wanted something better than iMovie. I actually tried using iMovie first, and I honestly couldn't figure it out.
Yeah, it's weird.
I was used to the Premiere style of editing. I'm used to nonlinear editors. So Resolve just worked really well for me. And most of the software I use, I'd say 99% of the software I use for streaming and video editing and all that stuff is free. I use OBS for streaming. I use DaVinci Resolve for video editing. I use GIMP for editing still images, and my thumbnails is all through GIMP. I use Inkscape for any vector graphics stuff. I'm looking through some of my stuff.
I would have definitely gone with Resolve if I knew that existed. I looked for all around and I couldn't find, I was just like, why don't I get Final Cut? But I didn't know that existed, so.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Final Cut's a great program. It was just I was out of work at the time, so it was kind of figuring out every way that I could to not have to put out money to do the YouTube channel.
Well, you're saying you have you run that on like a really high power computer, or any?
It's a MacBook Pro. It's a 2018 15-inch MacBook Pro. It was built for Vectorworks, which is a CAD program. So it's not the base level, but it's just a laptop. It's not, I would love to have an RTX 3000 graphics card in my computer like that. That's the goal. And maybe in a year I'll save up, a couple $1,000s and be able to build a computer. But I'm just using a MacBook Pro.
That's what, for anybody watching who's thinking about starting, I run all my stuff, Final Cut Pro, anything you need, off of a 2017 base model MacBook Air. So it gets a little hot sometimes, but I mean, it gets the job done.
Mine too. When I'm streaming and I'm running OBS, I actually have something that shows me like what my CPU's at and what my fans are at and everything. You know, and you just see it all pinned up at the top. But you know, it works. There are people out there that say like, "Oh, I can't post videos because I don't have equipment." It's like, you know, I do a bunch of stuff off my phone, and you know, just start. I think that's the key. You know, don't worry so much about it. Just make it happen.
That's what you're saying with the iPhone camera. I shoot all my videos, especially the 11 generation. Like the cameras on those are great. You can do 4K 60p if that's what you wanted.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, when I was working, I had the 10 Max, the bigger 10, and I could upgrade to the 11 Pro regular size one for the same price as the 10 Max. So, so that's what I ended up doing, and I love the quality. You know, with the 3 cameras on the back,
yeah,
I love the quality of being able to zoom in and or do widescreen, and not be using a digital zoom. So it's definitely a really, really great tool to get into video editing. And even if you've only got an iPhone 8 or can only get like the new iPhone SE,
yeah,
there's still just amazing tools for this.
Even I had an iPhone 6 for the longest time. It is decent. Like it does what you need it to.
Absolutely. And for a lot of the train stuff that we do, you know, you don't need to record at 4K 60.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, okay, great. I can record at 4K 60 on my iPhone, but
I don't need that.
Everything I put up is really 1080p at this point. So I'm not posting anything 4K at this point, for a multitude of reasons. And the stream I actually did on Sunday was just 720p. And it's just because that's because that's what you can do with the free tools that are available. But also it was a conversation. You know, it was you know, kind of a panel discussion, just get to know people, different YouTube channels. So it didn't need to be 1080p because there's nothing that anyone was going to zoom into. So I think it's important not to get frustrated with not having the best tool for a job, and just find out like what do you actually need and use the tools that you have to get as close as possible.
That's what, because all the free tools out there, they work. The only ones that I've come into, the only category that I've come into that the free stuff is kind of sketchy is with looking into getting your podcasts on like Apple Podcasts, that kind of stuff. It's very iffy. But besides that, like iPhones, they're great. The only downfall is there is a bit of lens flare. That's what I've always had a problem with outdoors. But I mean,
well, yeah, because it's such a tiny little lens. So yeah.
But I mean,
the thing with podcasts that's hard, the thing that I find hard with podcasts is that I think the real negative of the phones are actually the audio.
Yeah.
So I think if you are starting out and you want your channel to grow, I think focus on the audio. If people can't hear what you have to say, they're going to stop watching your videos.
Yeah.
But if the video quality isn't great, but what you have to say is good and easy to understand, people will keep watching, at least in my experience.
That's what I'm ordering one of those black snowball mics from Yeti.
Yeah. Yep.
But all my videos so far have either been recorded with the earbud microphone, which is a lot better than the iPhone one, and all the interviews have been on my computer microphone. So it's not great, but it just like anything, it does what you need it to. So.
And that's all that's important. I've been recommending. Have you placed the order for the microphone yet? No. So I've been recommending a USB microphone kit that's on Amazon. That's $50. It comes with the arm It's a microphone like this.
Uh-huh.
Comes with the whole stand and everything, but it's a USB microphone. It's $50, and it's pretty darn good. I mean, it's because I don't know how to EQ my microphones, it probably sounds just as good as the setup I have.
Okay.
But what I like about it and what I think is important, and I'm using a shotgun mic here, and I'm doing it so that it's out of frame and whatnot. But what's important a lot of times with microphones is getting as close to the mic as possible.
Yeah.
So by having I don't really mind the mic in frame that much, but being able to get this close to the mic, I can have my fan on, I can have my air conditioning on, things can be happening around me, and they won't be picked up on the microphone like they are with just sort of like using general mics.
Yeah.
And I really think that that's something that takes your videos up a notch. It is that that better quality microphone. I was just looking, and it looks like I'm clipping a little bit, so that's why I'm like turning it down a little bit so that it clip. But
you sound fine to my standards. I think your standards might be a little more in depth than mine, but to me it sounds good.
Yeah, people actually joke with me a little bit about that, about like my standards, because I've been putting some bloopers at the end of my video. And a lot of people are like, if I screw up, I just keep going. And I'm like, yeah, and I could do that, but like I just have this like, I want part of what I'm doing when I'm trying to edit my videos is make them as short and efficient and get the information out without a lot of like dead space, so that people can basically when they sit down to watch it, they're not going to like hit fast forward and just sort of scroll through it because there's no dead spots. So that's ultimately my goal. So if I have a lot of bloopers in my videos and people have to sit through kind of mistakes and me fumbling over things, I feel like, and this is just me, I feel like it takes away a little bit from getting the information out to people.
Yeah.
The other side of that is, of course, is if you're not fumbling a little bit, you're not coming across as human. It comes across as a little too perfect.
That's what blooper reels are for.
That's what blooper reels are for, and I try not to edit it all out.
Yeah.
I was watching some videos on recording voiceovers, and they talk about like when you breathe in, a lot of times you'll hear it on the microphone, especially if you're using a microphone where it's close up. And they're like, don't edit that stuff out. Leave that in there because that's natural. We're used to people breathing. The easy way to show you how it's changed is I can just bring up my two logos. This was the first logo that I started with. This is a piece of Kato track. This is just, really simple thrown together logo. And, now, this is the logo. It's a whole animated, thing. And I had one of my artist friends put it together. So I think part of how the channel has grown is just sort of like really focusing on a lot of the different details.
Yeah.
As well as expanding too. I didn't do any live streams for a long time. I was actually terrified to do any live streams because you couldn't edit things out. So it's grown in that I think I'm a little more human now because I've been doing the live streams and people see the mistakes more, and it's a little bit become a joke of my channel, like all the bloopers and stuff.
Yeah.
How has it changed?
Well, while you're thinking about that, I'll say I was very concerned about, because I was kind of excited to do live streams because I like to just talk without having to go back and edit it. It just kind of takes some pressure off whether you're good at it or not. But I don't know. I didn't know if I'd have the audience for it, because really I was at 17 subscribers until like last week. So of course you're not gonna have people watch it, but at this point I'm like, well, maybe there's, you know, a few people who will jump on. So that's what I'm like, may as well do it. So
The two biggest things I think that have, well, it's really just one thing. The one thing that has grown my channel the most is not promoting my channel and just going and being a part of the community.
yeah.
You know, I don't ask people for shout outs. I don't, you know, go into some stream and just keep posting, hey, check out my channel. Hey, check out my channel. Being a sponsor's a little bit uncomfortable because I hate feeling like a salesperson. Like, I don't want to be pushing this stuff. But in the same sense, I actually feel really good about who the sponsor is, in that what they offer, I think, are things that a lot of people say, oh, I wish, like, oh, I just bought X and it's got these problems. And it's kind of like, oh, well, check out these guys. They do it a little differently. They've actually solved that problem. Like, check them out. And sometimes that feels a little bit sales pitchy, and other times, you know, other times I feel good that I can be a part of the community and bring information like that out there. But yeah, you know, I talk about it over and over again that I don't have a job. It's like part of my job is just going out and being a part of the community. I was on a live stream, you know, chatting with people before we jumped on here, just to say hello to people all around the world and see what people are up to, and, you know, what are people doing. And then, you know, to some extent, my channel is just a response to our conversations in chat.
Yeah.
You know, people are talking about some of the scenery stuff they do, and, you know, I go and kind of try it. I mean, I'm basically a beginner model railroader. You know, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just making it up. But I'm showing that on camera so that hopefully, because I'm a beginner, I'm able to show the process kind of step by step, which then another beginner might be able to follow.
Yeah. Cool.
So that's, did I answer your question? I feel like I may have gotten off track.
No, we're good. We're good. We're going. So, I mean, we've been talking for a while now. So, kind of final topic. Where do you see this going?
Yeah, as I mentioned before, I really want to get to 1,000 subscribers. It's a little bit this arbitrary goal that YouTube created by saying you need 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours to monetize your channel. But I also think getting to 1,000 is a good place for having a foundation.
Yeah.
For it to keep going. So I do want to bring on one additional sponsor. The sponsor that I have has all these in-house brands where they manufacture stuff. So they're more of a, you know, a manufacturer of items. So I'm looking for a sponsor that's more of like that hobby shop type of sponsor.
Jason Tron. We need Jason Tron to come and sponsor all of us.
I don't know, which one's Jason Tron?
Rapido, the king of Rapido.
Oh, the Rapido. Yeah. Oh, right, Jason. Yeah. Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so, and that's interesting. I'll get back to the question you asked me, but when looking for sponsors, there are the huge companies out there, right? And I'm an N scaler, so like I think of Microtrains, but HO would be Rapido, or, you know, Soundtracks is another huge company that, you know, does sponsor people or whatever. But I'm also a tiny channel. I'm just saying there's a lot of small companies out there that support model railroading, that have a lot to offer, and those are who I kind of want to focus on bringing to the viewers of my channel.
Yeah.
And, you know, I love Rapido. Rapido just put out actually some Canadian passenger cars. Yeah. And I keep joking with this guy Chris from another channel, Go Via Go Home. I keep saying, oh, like I would love those in N scale. And he's like, we're talking about it. We're talking about it. Like I like Rapido stuff.
Yeah.
But as far as like my channel and the community that I want to be a part of my channel, for me, I feel like the sponsors that fit in are more the, you know, the smaller companies that are a little bit more community oriented, the ones that are, you know, the ones that are more, you know, in the chats discussing stuff than the, you know, the bigger manufacturers. And that's, you know.
But I mean, Jason Tron, on the 1% chance that you are watching this interview and you want to sponsor somebody with 50 subscribers, I will happily let you sponsor me for like $1. Okay, it's gonna happen one day.
If you ever want, that would actually be a really interesting video as well. Is what do YouTube sponsorships for model railroad channels look like?
Oh, you should do that.
Yeah, because like what you just said, like I'll let you sponsor me for $1. It's like most of the sponsors you're gonna get, it's almost more about like they'll give you something to hold a giveaway. They're not really giving you money. Yeah. You know, so it's more of a what they all call a product sponsorship, or you know, or an affiliate sponsorship or something more where you're like getting store credit or something. So like the sponsors I'm looking for are sponsors that are going to help support the channel by allowing me to continue building things and continue modeling, than so much sponsors that are going to help me pay my rent. Now, if a sponsor wants to come and help me pay my rent, I'm, you know, not going to turn them down. But like we discussed earlier, the long-term goal of this is that this will stay as a hobby, and this will be something that brings in a little bit of extra money. It won't really be the day job. At least right now. I say that right now. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? In a month, I may be calling Jason from Rapido and saying, please sponsor me. But, you know.
If you ever get a cell phone number,
for now, you know, for now, that's what this is.
We need to spam his phone together. We can make it happen.
Yeah, I'm sure there are people out there that know him. The sponsors that I reached out to were people that I was already talking to. So, you know, if you do really like seriously want Jason as a sponsor, buy some Rapido stuff, do some reviews on it, and then reach out to him and say, you know, I just did these reviews, you know, would you check them out and, you know, give me your critique of them, and start building that, build that dialogue with him.
Okay. Well, I'm in the process of trying to get an interview with him. I don't really know what approach I'm going to take, but I'm thinking about it. So again, 1% chance he's watching this video. My email is in the about section of my YouTube channel. So, oh my God. If he's watching this, this is going to be super awkward.
So what I would, when I said I would get your hands on, like, borrow them from the club if you can, even. Get some Rapido stuff, even if it's old Rapido stuff, even better. Call up Jason, send him pictures, and say, I've got these items on my bench. Will you come on to my channel and talk about these 5 Rapido items from...
like I have a set of 2 Baltimore and Ohio RDCs. I don't even know how he convinced me in some subliminal message, but I got 2 F40PH 2Ds in advertising wraps, which
nice.
Yeah, so I don't even know how I ended up doing that. Then I pre-ordered an M420, and I don't know. So
make a video.
Reviews, yeah.
Make a video of those locomotives on your bench and say, hey, Jason, I love these things. Come talk to me. Put it out there.
Yeah.
You know? Why not? Why not?
Cool.